I'm Minna, this is the Mythomat with another video on Dragon Ball Z Dokkan battles. So we had a pretty good news regarding some Super EZA. Although this picture is about the two characters that just got their Super EZA, Super Vegito and Buuhan, don't be fooled by the image you are seeing, because I'm not sure that Vegito is doing like such an easy win over Buuhan. So Mina, I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you do, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. That will be very much appreciated, as I'm trying to reach 200 subs first and then 300 subs until the end of the year. And let's talk about those Super EZA. So first of all, let me tell you about the schedule. So they are not going to be on the game that soon. So we will have to wait until the 31 of January. So at the end of the month, only in 7 days and 22 hours. So that will mean that the moment they will get their Super EZA, we will have already the part 1 of the 10th anniversary unit. We also know that there's a scheduling for the logging bonus, so that tells us that the logging bonus will arrive in 5 days and 14 hours, which will be the day the 10th anniversary is going to happen. So as you guys know, we are talking about a Goku that has like doing a Kamehameha and has obviously his 10 fingers showed, which reminiscence of the 10th anniversary. I don't expect this unit to be that good. We will see. Normally this unit gets a TUR, and if I'm not mistaken, last year even an EZA. I'm not sure if I'm right about that, but it felt like last year something very different happened with Gogeta. It was a base Gogeta, and I think that it was a better unit than what we are used to. So, sorry about that. Courtesy of Minato, shout out for him. Let's start first by looking at EZA. By the way, let me see if I can. Let me just. So I wanted to see how he was before his Super EZA. So as you can see, he had attack and defense plus 40%. We did the same turn after receiving an attack. Okay. He would foresee so he will have a scouter when his HP is below 40%, and we would have a damage reduction of 80% and counters for normals, just for normals. Okay, so that was very bare bone at the time. I realize if I'm when I recall that, I think that it felt like it was not that good. Let's see what they have done this time. So as I mentioned, so before anything else, already he will have a start of turn attack and defense, key plus 2 attack and defense plus 200%. That's quite a jump from nothing. Then attack and defense 150% when performing a super attack. Then he will raise attack and defense by 25% up to 100%, so for attack received, and chance to perform a critical hit plus 15% up to 60%. Okay, so crit is very good here with each attack received. Okay, so now he will reduce damage received by 40%, so even against super. By the time I remember you, it was 80%, but just against normal, and then he reduced an additional 40% for normal. So he will keep the 80% damage reduction against normal, but now he gains 40% damage reduction against super attack. That's pretty cool. He will counter. Obviously his counter will be a lot more effective given that he have now start of turn attack and defense. Okay, he will guard. Okay, didn't have guard. No, didn't have guard, so that's good. He will guard and he will scouter for 2 turns. Okay, so not just on his turn, but the turn after. Was that already like that? No, that's cool. So that's cool because that means that you will see where the attack is on his turn, but then also on the turn after him, which is obviously very useful. And now it is when HP is 50% or below. It was at the time 40%, so a little bit better. Okay, good to have, but not crazy. Okay, then he has two kind of buff depending on what kind of adversary we are talking about. So when we are facing a super class enemy, he will have attack and defense plus 50%, and he will give support for all other allies other than him of key plus 2 and defense plus 20%. If it is an extreme class enemy, then his buff will be of attack and defense plus 100%, which will add up for a lot of things we are seeing here. And all allies other than this character will have key plus 3 and defense plus 30%. Okay, so he gives support, which is obviously quite cool for other units. So it's an improvement, no doubt about it. I reckon with those numbers, he will be doing a lot more damage than what we saw previously. I will try to pause the video and to see if we have any details about the numbers in terms of defense and in terms of attack for him. But so obviously I need to test him on the game. He feels interesting. He's not in a lot of categories, so we are talking about Majin Buu Saga, which is pretty stacked, Potara, Super Saiyan, which is very stacked, Final Tron card, which will be even stackier after the 10th anniversary again, Battle of Wits, Axarabat, Fuse Bat. So okay, we are talking about most, even Potara, maybe Potara we don't have that many options, but what we can say from this is that he's not in a lot of categories. By the way, keep in mind that when they got their Super Easy, they don't change neither the leader skill, neither the super attack effect, so it will still be causing immense damage, and he will raise attack of the ally by 35% for one turn, which is interesting in terms of an attack if we can put him in slot 1, which I'm not sure. I would say that against some adversary it would be possible, but I reckon that I'm not sure if that will be enough. 40% damage reduction even with all this defense, that's quite a lot. 200%, 150 when performing super attack, which is not, it's multiplicative, so it's even higher than this. We can have here after receiving 4 attack 100% more, and if it's an extreme class enemy we'll have 100%, so that could amount to something interesting. But as you know, so I would say I feel like it would be a proper option for the current meta the current events that we know, but I'm expecting the events of part 1 and then part 2 of the anniversary, maybe even part 2, to be tougher than what we are used to. So I'm not sure how good he will be in that new environment. So now talking about Buuhan. So Buuhan was one of the units that was quite interesting. I think he could be very interesting in a Majin Buu Saga extreme team. I was thinking about doing a series of videos where I would use Majin Buu Saga with a super team and then versus an extreme team, and I think that this guy could be an important part of this team. We will see. We had a lot of very good units with recently of Buuhan. As you know, this name is quite cool. So let me see what did he did. So he already had 2 super attack. So he has a super Kamehame 1 and 4. I don't recall, but it feels like so. Okay, here he will greatly lower attack and defense, and here he will lower greatly. No, this is the same here. Greater power. Okay, so he'll increase. Okay, there's the SA multiplier will be bigger if we reach at least 10 of the SA. Okay. Of the super attack. So at the time he had attack 70 is a stacking, is not a stacking. a nuking unit. I'm sorry, my mind is a nuking unit. It will get 17% per key obtain. 10% it would at the time before this super easy A, but with his easy A, 17% attack, 10% defense, and it would recover 10,000 HP per key sphere obtain. It will, if he delivers the final blow, he would recover 15% at the end of the turn. As we know, that's quite tricky. You will not have this all the time. So now let's see his details. So exactly as Super Vegito, he will have attack and defense plus 200%. He will not have key on this part at least, although I think he has good links to get key. And as you know, he can have his super attack a lot sooner than other units. Then he will have 200% attack and defense, like I mentioned, start of turn, and then he will have another 200% multiplicative when performing a super attack. He will launch an additional. Okay, that's cool. Nice. So rainbow key orb changing, very good. He will change take key spheres to rainbow key sphere. That's very good. And from the 5th turn onward, you will randomly change a type of key sphere other than tech into int, which could be obviously very interesting because he is, like I mentioned, he is a nuking unit. So his nuking ability grow up quite significantly. So he passed from 17% to 40% per key spheres, and the defense of 10, was that 10? It was, so 17 and 10, now it's 40 of attack, 30 of defense, and you will recover, so not that increase, but we are talking about 12,000 HP per key sphere. So let's say we got 10 key sphere orb, which is not that difficult to imagine with the rainbow key sphere, and after the 5th turn he will change randomly other key than tag into int, so I think the 10 could be manageable. That will give us 120k of HP, which could be interesting in some fights. So he will get a chance to perform a critical hit plus 33%, and he will also reduce damage received by 22% up to 60 per rainbow key spheres obtained. I would obviously, that means in the turn. So that could be interesting. So there's no cap for the crit, which means that although after 3 you will be at 99, so that will be almost guaranteed, but that with 4 rainbow key sphere we would have a guaranteed crit, and his damage reduction can go up to 66%, which is a little bit more than the 40% that that Vegito had. By the way, I didn't mention that, but what I think that means that Vegito will be able to face, I would say, almost all the normals in the game. I'm not too sure about Super, we will need to try him. So this guy can go up to 66% if we got 3 rainbow key orb, being a rainbow key orb changer. That should be quite easy, or at least most of the time we would have that. He will recover 15% HP at the end of the turn, so no longer he needs to do the finishing blow to have that, so that's very good. So a lot of recovery here, and plus what we have with the links. As you know, these guys links normally gives us some recovery of HP. By the way, does he have Big Bad Boss? I guess he has. Yes, that's cool. That's very good. Margin. This will recover HP. And that's it. Okay, but so we'll have here 5% HP recovery with metal linking partner. So Big Bad Bosses. See, so obviously this guy after transforming, he will have Big Bad Boss. And by the way, let me see about this guy. So they have the same name, right? Once this guy go to the domain, that could be interesting. I've been thinking of using, I didn't summon for this guy, but I've been thinking about maybe using this guy as a friend to the team. But I think that if we have one of this guy and one of this guy, I think that would be pretty cool. So even if they don't link together, we will have a lot of. Ooh, they have the very similar. The other one do a Kamehameha, so they have a very similar. Okay, and then he has exactly the same kind of buffs, except X exchanging, obviously. So he has a bigger buff against superclass enemy. Vegito was against an extreme class enemy. He will give to himself attack and defense plus 100%, and he will give support for all other character that's not him on the turn. Keep plus 3 and attack. Oh, okay, so here he give attack instead of defense. He gives attack. Although, as you know, almost all the time defense is more interesting than attack. As you also know, we are seeing a lot of fights. I think this is a trend that will continue, where we have fights that will have caps. So you will only do damage if you are with more than a specific number of damage. For example, you have Goku and Freeze, which is 10 million, which is quite a lot. So that's why sometimes these buffs could be very interesting. And then we have against extreme class enemy, he will give for himself attack and defense plus 50%, and he will do for all other character that is not him, keep plus 2, attack plus 20%. So that feels interesting. Of the twos, to be honest, I think that in Buuhan feels on paper stronger, although obviously now I need to use them both in game and we will have to wait sometimes to use them, but on paper I would say that the Super EZA from IT Buuhan feels more interesting, and in my opinion that's a good thing, because I think that Super this guy is AGL, okay, which will be cool for a lot of very difficult fight. Namely, I just recall that this guy is AGL, so that will be quite good for a lot of very difficult fights. For example, Goku and Frieza are STR. We have Cell Max 2, so a lot of units in the game. Bulma is STR, so a lot of the toughest fight in the game currently are STR, so that's interesting that is AGL. But like I mentioned, I really think that Buuhan feels a little bit stronger on paper. We will see. By the way, let me see if I check this. Okay, so I just saw here we have a post on Reddit. By the way, let me see who I need to shout out. Pierre Gioglio. Shout out to you, guy. Thank you very much for those calculations. Always very, very important to have those. So, is linking with LR Buuhan, which make a lot of sense. As is doing is this calculation is showing with 7 orbs, there's 5 orbs, 7 orbs, 10 orbs, which seems like what we are going to get most of the time. 23 orbs seems like more difficult to get, but we never know. As you know, it has more with domain, so we are talking about I imagine we are talking about Tech Buuhan domain, so that would make a lot of sense. But let's see. So against a super enemy with 5 orbs, he will have a start of turn of defense of 428k, but then after the 12 key, he will get to 1.2. I remember you that if we get 3 Rainbow Key Sphere, we'll have 66% damage reduction, and this goes up and up and up at 10 orbs already at 1.6, and if we have the domain against a super class enemy, we are at 2.1. Interesting. With 66% damage reduction, that leaves to a very interesting number. And wow, the attacks are quite strong. 28 million, 30 million, 32, 37 with the domain. Wow, that's a lot of damage. This guy seems quite tough. Okay, Super Vegito. Okay, Super Vegito. So, in terms of defense, we are talking about numbers that are quite lower compared to the ones we can have with Buuhan. Okay, that was it to be expected. Before doing his attack, 460,000. Not very good. Okay. Then, regarding counters, quite high number, no doubt about it. Quite high numbers about the counters. Then the super 22 million if you do additional 23. By the way, mind you that this guy has an additional, not saying mistake, right? He will launch an additional. Wow, this guy should be quite strong. I'm sorry, but once again, the number seems to me that will be a lot higher. And so we see a quite big jump, namely in defense when he is in slot 2 under the unit from Worldwide Celebration 2024 Part 1 LR Physical GGT Goku, Gohan and Trunks, the movie 8 trio. And as you can see, his defense jump quite high, so that makes a lot of difference, the support they are giving. In terms of attack, why his attack are lowers? Because here is linked with LRSTR Vegito, which he will share more links, more offensive links, that's for sure. Okay, so like I mentioned, what I think will happen is that we will see both unit in game. We are still, like I mentioned, far away for that, but we will see how strong they are. For the time being, I think I prefer Buuhan over Super Vegito, but we will see in game. Okay, so Minna, this will be it. So like I mentioned, I don't think that this image do justice, because although maybe Buuhan is just taking a shot, but is going to regain his HP quite easily and is not going to hurt that much. So Minna, I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. That will be highly appreciated. And I will see you all in the next one.